in 2015, 14-15, that was arguably, you would say, one of your best seasons. I mean, you were cooking. You had a game where I think you had 10 out of 14 from three. I mean, you had a lot of games where you had 40. Why did you decide to transition out and stop playing after having such a great, on top of, some would argue, you could argue maybe the top of your game, scoring-wise?
Yeah. I mean, it was one of my better seasons. It was a draining season as well. I mean, I was playing on a lousy team. First year in the first division, this team called Eskishehir. It was one of those years where we had so many imports come in and out. I was the only guy basically who started on the team and finished on the team. Everyone was there out for themselves, trying to get the next job.
Yeah, I can see that.
And I basically got to the end of that season, and I was very fortunate that during my career, I invested, very wisely in real estate and some early tech companies, and bought some shares in some companies that ended up doing really well. So it's 2015. I'm looking around. I'm 32 years old. I'm like, man, do I want to, I didn't have Fenerbahce and Galatasaray knocking on my door, teams like that. I was going to play on another mid-level team for decent money. And I decided, I remember sitting there that summer and I was like, man, let's get on with the rest of my life. I was ready to get into the next realm of business. I knew that, my goal was always to have a very successful basketball career, but I always wanted to be much more successful for the rest of my life than I did during my basketball career. And I just felt like I had some other opportunities to learn from some really smart people. And if I didn't jump on them, that they may pass and they may not be there, now if I was still playing.
Right.
So for me, it was always, I felt like I got so much out of the game of basketball, and I was so grateful. And I always wanted to be a 10-year pro, and I absolutely loved it. And there's times I miss it so much, but I just felt like the game had given me so much, and I'd gotten so much out of the game that I was ready to move on and ready for a new challenge. And
absolutely,
that's really what it came down to. Is just I was just ready for the next challenge.
Yeah, man. I mean, at the end of the day, it's your life to live, and there's no blueprint for that. You can go where the tides, wherever your passion is, and that's what you decide to do. Of course, it's difficult because you were been in that identity, that role for so long to step into the unknown. But you had your family, you've probably experienced almost everything there was at that point, basketball wise. That's what I asked Coach Donovan when he decided to finally leave Florida and go to the NBA. He said, in college basketball, I finally realized I experienced everything that there possibly was. But transitioning out of playing in 2018, you're one of the owners of the New Zealand Breakers. How did we get from here to there? Was that ever on your horizon right after you retired, or how did that even how did any of it happen?
Absolutely not. I never anticipated owning a basketball team in New Zealand. I had never been to New Zealand, but I talked about some of the opportunities that I had in 2015 when I decided to retire, and one of those was one of my best friends and mentors and former agent, Jason Levian, at the time was, he's just coming off being the managing owner of Memphis Grizzlies. And I spent some time in Memphis when I was still playing with him. He was the owner of DC United and Swansea City, two international football clubs. And, I was talking to him about retiring. We went and watched the US Open together. And he was like, if you're ready to retire and you want a new challenge, he's like, do it. Come learn from me. He's like, I think you'll love the sports executive ownership business. He's like, he was splitting time between DC and New York. He's like, you can be around as much as you want. We'll get you involved in some special projects. So I was like, man, what an opportunity. So I decided to do it. I got an inside look at what Jason did, and I was like, man, this is very cool. I love this. Yeah. I invested in DC United, so I'm a minority owner there. I invested in Swansea City. I invested in the USL team, Loudoun United. And I absolutely loved it. And then a mutual friend of the former owners of the Breakers and myself called me, and they were with the owner, Liz Blackwell. She was in New York to do the New York Marathon, and she was telling our friend, hey, we've owned this team for 16 years. Our kids are grown up. I think we're ready to move on. So he called me and he said, you should take a look at this. The league is about to blow up. They've got a connection with the NBA. Auckland is this incredible market, the only team in New Zealand. He's like, you're going to love it there. You should go check it out. So in December of 2017, I took a 9-day trip here, was blown away by the country, the people, the facilities. I very quickly, by end of February, worked out a deal with the former owners, the Blackwells, who are the amazing people, my partners. And I just kind of went for it. And that's always how I've been. You know, I felt like it was my time to go to the NBA. I took the chance and I went. Um, and I really believed in this, in the business. And it's been the best decision I ever made, both from a personal and a family level. New Zealand is the most amazing place on earth. And business wise, you know, if you look at what the NBL has grown to in the 2.5
Right.
years since I bought the team, there's now 4 American ownership groups. Most recently, Brian Colangelo bought the Hawks, 3-time NBA
Okay.
Executive of the Year.
Yeah.
You know, Lamelo Ball, RJ Hampton, these guys are coming to our league to play. So I really feel like I've been a catalyst in that growth, and it's been so exciting to, you know, last year I got a chance to play against Billy Donovan in NBA preseason, and talk about like the thrill of a lifetime. We played 3 NBA preseason games. So it's been amazing to watch the growth. But that's kind of how I ended up here in a short form story.